Look out. Yes, it's only me. It's only the Kimmer, the old Kim Peterson, sort of actual webcast program with Josh and the gang at conservativebeacon.net, sponsored by the Solomon Brothers, as we have a little fun looking at the issues of the day. Actual topics, Josh.
Yes, actual topics.
For what may be, we're probably going to be taking a little hiatus here for the summer after this program, so if later, John, if you want to email something to Josh, you can do it to me, and we can email contact through the summer hiatus. Anyway, how you doing, Josh? And the other thanks to Solomon Brothers, too. Ivan Solomon, those guys, for sponsoring this 10-week extravaganza. They're great people, and you'll love their joy. They're the best. Anyway, how's it going? What's up, boy?
Well,
Let's talk about today, man.
Well, I'm going to steal your line. I'm on the right side of the grass as always. And you just brought something up I forgot about. We actually have several comments and feedback today that we can actually talk about here right at the beginning. Actual feedback, from our 12 listeners, which have grown, which have doubled in size. So.
Excellent. And we're up 400%.
That's right. My kind of numbers right there.
From 12 to 18 people or whatever it would be.
But we have several nice comments here, and I'll read you one from Angie Tate. She says, I was a big fan of the Kimmer Show through the 90s and beyond. I heard the Kimmer in your podcast talk about Leslie Dove. We talked about Leslie Dove last week, and how that got started. I was also interested in how the Silly Harold character got started with the guitar intro and all. I really enjoyed the time the Kimmer spent on the Atlanta airwaves and wish we could have him back. Also, we'll get to that later. But she says, the best to you and the podcast, Josh. But that is from Angie Tate.
Excellent. Well, that's very sweet. That's very brief. It really is nice. You tend to, when you're in the business of radio and you walk into a studio and you got a producer or a guy answering the phones or whatever, and you're in a closed booth and it's soundproof and there's a microphone and you got computer screens and everything, even though you're talking to people, you sometimes really don't realize that you actually do have an impact sometimes.
Absolutely.
And it's humbling when you meet people, and I was never a major star, like a star, but when we would do an event, people would come up and ask me for an autograph or something, and I was, honestly, the absolute truth is I was always humbled. I've never turned down a request for a picture, autograph, anything, thinking, man, if they really wanted me to do that, then how blessed am I that they cared enough. It just made me feel so good to do whatever they wanted. It's a wonderful feeling when there are actually people out there and you forget. So anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you, Angie. I appreciate it, sweetie. That's very nice.
Well, you definitely touched a lot of people out there.
Oh, sorry, that was a joke.
Hey, the last one, we got Rick. He says, hey, Kimmer, I'm backing in, and let's not forget Atlantic Station is open. Thanks for the fun ride home. That's it. We got to get into it.
Two things. The back and in. To this day, it never ceases to amaze me and amuse me when somebody will drive their car the wrong way into a parking lot, and then back into the space because they can't possibly turn the right way coming out and make it without going again the wrong way twice. Because it's too much of an angle, so you can't possibly. There's no reason to back in. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And they do it deliberately. It's not, they go forward and then they back in to back in. And I'm thinking, why do you do that? It just doesn't make any sense. And they can't do it either. That's the other thing. I used to make fun. I said, you white people, trust me, if you're a white guy or a white woman, don't try to back in. You're not capable. You just simply can't do it. And then, of course, the whole racial thing, well, a man's a bigot. He says, they're racist. He says black people back in. Well, black people do back in. But it doesn't mean it's a racial thing. It's just an observation. Anyway, and then you get started. Anyway, so I used to make fun of people backing in all the time. It's hysterical. And you think, why do they do it? I can see if the parking spaces are parallel and they're straight. I do it when if I'm in the end of a parking lot, I have a car that I don't want people hanging around, so I always back. I find myself a space way far away from everybody, and sometimes I'll back in if I want to keep my trunk to a fence or something, so nobody can go back and try to get in the trunk of my car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's if the spaces are in line with each other and square and parallel. But if they're at an angle where it's one way up and then one way down, and you're in the wrong way, you can't get out. Without going the wrong way again, it's just stupid. And the other thing, what was the other thing? I forgot. I'm rambling so much here.
No, he said, because I'm backing in, he said, and let's not forget Atlantic Station is open.
station. I will never forget this. When a quick background, Atlantic Station was touted as the new happening thing in Atlanta. It was supposed to be an extravaganza boom for the city, for housing. They were going to have really cool condos and high-rises and shops and stores and that cheap furniture store. They might give
IKEA.
And stuff like that, you know, and it was all these big shots who were running it, and there was all kinds of scandals about, God, I've forgotten now, zoning or prices of land or something. There was a lot of crap going on. The mayor was involved, Shirley, the white hater, Franklin, who did not like white people and made it very clear. She and John Lewis, when they did that commercial, remember during one of the last congressional campaigns?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I forgot about it, but yeah.
Just anti-white, just white-hating. And I started blasting her until I was off the air every day as the white-hating mayor. Welcome to Atlanta, all you white people. Where do you think you're going? You know, stuff like that. Just horrible, vicious, racist mayor in office. Anyway, and she was in cahoots with all these big shot businessmen, and sometimes, you know, I'd be making fun of all the scandals involved in the payoffs and bribes and stuff. And they would call me and say, well, you know, business is good for the city. And I say, yeah, if you want to cheat, you know. But anyway, so it became an issue about Atlantic Station then, and the talk went on for a long, long time, years. Finally, it opened, and this was just spur of the moment. I can't believe this happened. Atlantic Station finally opened this one particular morning. So I come on the air, and Wayne, no offense, my producer, now I'm trying to remember whether, I think I asked him to play the song We Built This City on Rock and Roll by that little tramp and her friend in San Francisco,
What is
who sang that?
Oh, God.
God, I can't. I just have a complete blank. We built this city. We built this city on rock.
I know the song, but I can't think of who sang it.
Well, they changed their name to it, and I covered the story when the police confiscated their former studio where they did all their work in Sausalito or someplace, and they drove off a bunch of Jaguars and Mercedes-Benz because the guys who owned it were drug dealers, and they had shut down. They sold it to somebody who then became a drug dealer and shut down the studio where. Oh God, I almost had the name right. I can't believe it.
I'm gonna try to look it up here.
Anyway, so that song was, we built this city on rock and roll. We built this city. We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. Well, I said to Wayne, I said, get that song. We'll play it as a bumper. And when they started singing the chorus, oh God, right on the tip of my tongue, I could see her face. They say she was a real loose cannon. She would have sex with anybody. That was the rumor. I don't know if it's true.
Jefferson Starship.
Jefferson Starship, and then they changed it to Starship.
Just Starship, yep.
Jefferson Starship, yeah. Yep. That's right. And the name of the girl escapes me. Was that there in front of you?
I don't see it.
Well, look for the members of the group. Anyway, as we talk. Anyway, so I told the lady, I said, play this song. So when they came to the chorus where it goes, we built this city, dun, dun, dun. We built this city on rock and roll. When it did that, while I was playing the music, I would sing, Atlantic Station, dun, dun, dun. Atlantic Station, Atlanta, GA, Atlantic Station, dun, dun, dun. Atlantic Station, Atlanta, GA, over and over and over. And then instead of the words of the song, I was saying, we've got your condos, da 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 da, but they're really going to cost you a lot of money, da 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 da, and you're never going to find a place to park, da 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 da, and they're going to break into your car, da 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 da. I mean, I was a complete idiot. I mean, I was just, making up words about how horrible Atlantic Station was to the tune of we built the city on rock and roll, and it went on. I did it for hours. I mean, I did it for a long time, every each of the 4 hours of the show, and this is true. When I first talked to you, Josh, I was driving back from way out west in my car back to either New England or Florida. I can't remember. When you called me, remember in the car last fall?
Yes, last September, yeah.
September, yeah. When you called me, I had just come back from a visit with one of my daughters out west. Anyway, that same day, it might have been right before or right after I talked to you. I have a satellite radio in the car, and I had my satellite radio on, and that song came on by Jefferson Starship. And so I called Wayne's number. Wayne, no offense, his cell phone, and when the cell phone rang and answered, I just started singing, Atlantic Station, Atlantic Station, Atlantic GA, Atlantic Station, over and over and over with the music blaring in my car. Gee, I almost peed my pants. I was laughing so hard. Shirley the White Hater Franklin and the Atlantic Station execs, and that was what that was all about. Boy, what a long story for something that makes no sense. But that was fun. That's the kind of stuff. I'm sitting here right now laughing. I'm having these great memories. I mean, it's just that's what the job was when it was at its best. It was just spontaneous and fun and good natured, and we were kidding people, making fun, but it wasn't mean spirited.
No, I mean, yeah, exactly.
It was just if you can get people to laugh at silly things, it's then everybody benefits, and that's what the job. That's why the job was so much fun, and that's what I miss. I wish I could do that again. I really do.
All right,
it's not going to happen.
We got to talk about this. We got to talk about Atlantic Station because I only went down there maybe 4 or 5 times, and I'm assuming it's still there. I've been away now for 7 months, but it's funny how it was. Everybody made such a huge deal out of it that it was going to revive downtown, Midtown in particular, and yet it really, I don't want to say it failed, but it bombed. It is not what we were led to believe, and I know that several stores had moved out. It was almost kind of like, we're going to say underground, but I guess even underground had more success than Atlantic Station, really.
Oh, wow. Well, I remember, I moved to Atlanta in 1972 when I came out of graduate school at Michigan State. And it was 1972, and Underground Atlanta was a hugely popular place. I mean, the original Underground, which actually had underground railroad tunnels and things too. I mean, it really was an underground tunnel system. And it was dank and dark and dreary, but it was fabulous because it was really unusual and different and original. One of the stores was Lester Maddox, the former lieutenant governor, who was lieutenant governor under Jimmy Carter when I was there covering politics at WSB. Covered the Carter governorship. Anyway, and Lester Maddox had a store down there where he used to sell axe handles and red-necked T-shirts. So you could be a redneck in a T-shirt with an axe
in your hand.
With an axe handle. And Lester Maddox, and I'm not making this up, and I had him do it for me many times as a reporter, would ride his bicycle backwards. Have you ever seen him do that?
No.
Did you ever see him do that?
I did not.
What he would do, instead of getting on, if your bicycle's, if you're standing and your bicycle's on your right-hand side, instead of lifting your right leg over the seat so that you're sitting facing the front, you lift your left leg over the seat. So you're sitting facing, so your back is facing the front, and then he reached behind him, put both hands on the handlebars behind him, and then would pedal, because he's facing the rear now.
Well, we're still talking about a bike here, right? Exactly.
And he would pedal backwards and drive his bicycle backwards, ride his bicycle backwards, and he'd look over his shoulder to see where he was going. And he did it. He did it all the time. Anyway, he was a character, and that's part of what Underground was. And then the gangs took over. All of a sudden, now I'm thinking it was probably 1975 or 6, 77, maybe something like that. It got so dangerous. It might have been even 74 or 75. It got so dangerous. Honestly, people were afraid to walk in Underground because if you went around the corner, you were likely to get mugged. That was what people felt. It was so dangerous that everybody stopped going, and it just plain shut down. Then these idiots had this great idea. Oh, let's make a modern Underground. Let's redo it and make it a really cool modern Underground. So then years went by. I guess it was 3 or 4 years went by, maybe even more. It might have been 10. I can't remember. They put in what was supposedly the new, resurgent Underground Atlanta, and it was nothing but the retail mall. It was just, department stores.
Well, that's how I remember it.
It was nothing. There was no reason to go down there. I mean, it was just shiny, bright, new, Reebok stores, and then still it got real ugly because it got kind of territorial, and that's when all of a sudden the attitude became that white people were not really very comfortable going into downtown Atlanta. The stores became, boo 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 or whatever the things are. I mean, it's just everything kind of changed. And frankly, I mean, this is whether these facts are true or not. The perception was true enough that everybody stayed away. They just stopped. They just went. They just stopped going down there. And that's what happened to the city of Atlanta until the only thing that changed this, Josh. This was really spectacular because I was there every day. Was the Olympics.
Yeah.
When the Olympics came, we did my show down there every day, so I was there all day, every day for 3 weeks. And at night, all the entertainment, remember not the Blues Brothers, what's the House of Blues? House of Blues.
Yeah, the House of Blues,
They
yeah.
had the House of Blues there, and there was activity going on, and music playing, and street bands, and people milling around until after midnight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was fabulous because it was safe. Everybody was in a good mood. There was no territorial, gangland type activity. There was no sense of urgency. There was no sense of anxiety. People were partying. It was a great mood. Blacks and whites and browns and together. I mean, it was really just a really great atmosphere because of the nature of the Olympics. And then the Olympics left. The House of Blues shut down, and boom, bang, and that's the ball game on that again. So, Atlanta's got a tough road to hoe here, I think. And I moved out, I guess, 3 years ago, so I haven't been back there in a while, and it's unfair to me to be too characteristic of it. But I think Atlanta's got an awful lot of problems these days, and I don't see them getting better for a while.
Well, you bring up the Olympics, and I have to tell you, I've knocked the city of Atlanta, but it's my birth city. I was born. I'm one of the few people to actually be able to say nowadays that I was born in the city of Atlanta.
It is unusual.
Yeah.
Very rare.
And so, and I lived there for 27 years, and I'm now on my 28th, and this is my first year away from Atlanta. But I'll say this: one of the best things about the Olympics coming to Atlanta was Centennial Park. That is something that turned out really, really well. That it was so weird to see it during the Olympics, where it was like tent city, and you had the big AT&T tent, the Coca-Cola tent, everything going on. And then now it's turned into this really nice, lush, fairly safe park, and that's actually where we had the Glenn Beck Rally for America that you and Glenn Beck were a part of, which was outstanding. I know we talked about that back in September, but it's just Centennial Park to me is one of the best settings in Atlanta. I love it.
That's right. I'd kind of forgotten the effect of that, and you're absolutely right. And again, that kind of carried over the feeling of what the Olympics were all about, and so that at least worked, and I hope that's still going strong. I hope people still flock there and go there and enjoy that.
Well, when I left, I know they were, but other than that, I can't really speak to anything about the city of Atlanta. So, all right, well, let's say we get on to some actual topics. There's one thing that has come out this morning, which is really scary. Apparently, the Taliban in Afghanistan, part of our enemy in Afghanistan, they are using, instead of nails in their little improvised explosive devices, they're now using used needles that are containing hepatitis and HIV because, Afghanistan's like the heroin capital of the world. And so what's happening is when these explosions occur, they're flying off and either hitting coalition forces directly, or when coalition forces come in to clean up the area, they're being contaminated by AIDS and hepatitis.
I'm almost speechless. That's chemical warfare for one thing. It's chemical warfare.
Well, that's a great point.
Yeah. So, boom, bang, if you're using chemical warfare on, unsuspecting troops, it seems to me that brings it up a notch, and I think the retaliation and the response ought to be fairly clear. Of course, I think we're doing the wrong thing. This is ridiculous. The fact that they're, using, if this is true, and again, I think the source came from.
It's coming from, it's coming from the Sun in London, and it's front page on Drudge. So that doesn't necessarily make it true, but it means there's got to be some validity to it.
Well, this is, when are we going to wake up? They're still trying to kill us. Now in the news, these two guys who got caught in New Jersey. They're still here. They're sleeper cells. There's still people in our country, let alone against our troops, who want nothing more than for us to die, and they're willing to kill us and everybody else, including themselves, to do it. And now, if it's true that they're using contaminated biological warfare through contaminated, toxic, poisonous, deadly needles, what are we waiting for? I wish Obama would have a news conference so that somebody could ask him about, some pretty hard questions and see if this phony little Mr. Tough Guy against BP. Oh, you bad oil company people, I'm going to make fun of you and say bad things about you, so I'll be a tough guy now. Boy, that really takes a lot of balls there, Obama. This is unbelievable. Anyway, and answer these charges, and what's he going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? That's what I keep asking. What are we going to do about it? They're trying to kill us. What are we going to do about it? I don't know why we don't have, and maybe we do, and I hope we do. I don't know why we don't have assassination teams whose only job, they're different than snipers. Every military service of churches in most countries have sniper teams, recon scout sniper teams. Sniper team is an assassination squad. God bless them, by the way. So I say we start having long-range assassination squads, paid military or private, for that matter, assassination squad, take out the people who are causing this kind of thing. And we know, if we're against that idea because it's some kind of a morality issue, then you're going to have to explain to me why that's any different from any other kind of killing human on human. It's the exact same thing. We are in a war. It's a declared war by them. We're the victims. We didn't start it. And we got to do something about it. We're just such pansies. Jesus, these freaking liberals.
We are.
I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, I don't know what I can do. They won't take me back in the Marines. So,
Kimmer, isn't it interesting how Obama is talking about finding private sector businesses, trying to find executives' asses to kick, yet this administration won't refer to our enemy as radical Islam. But yet he's over here, we're going to speak tough when it comes to American citizens, and when it comes to business, I'm going to find somebody's ass to kick when it comes to that. But boy, when it comes to the war on terror, no, we don't want to offend the enemy. No, not at all.
The problem are two. Not only that he believes it. I mean, if he says it and actually means it and believes it, I think that's a very big problem. But the other problem is people are saying, "Oh, geez, so we shouldn't be, oh, okay, well, I hadn't thought about it." All of a sudden now we have a whole generation of people who, hey, we elected this guy president. Wow, boy, oh, gee, we should not. We don't want to label on. We don't want to be looking for just because they look like Arabs. Doesn't mean they're bad guys. Come on, you're turning us all into sitting ducks.
It's suicidal. It's absolutely suicidal. Now, look, the last thing on this. Here is the part that jumped out about me about Obama's Today Show interview where he talks about seeking ass to kick. At the very...
Honestly, I taped it because I watched it later, and I ran it back again to actually see...
You want to punch your TV.
I started laughing. I said, you pansy, you freaking hypocritical, phony pansy. He was such a pansy to begin with, but finally everybody realized he was a pansy. Even his own liberals are calling him a pansy.
Oh, yeah.
Dowd, for God's sakes, who still needs her freaking tires rotated, incidentally. Even she was calling him a pansy. So now they say, well, when there's a problem in Washington, what do? You go on the road, baby. And that's what now they got him traveling down to the Gulf. Well, I was one who told you people 6 weeks ago. I met a fisherman, and he said it was a problem, and I knew it was there when I was down here 6 weeks ago. Jesus, it's like a 7-year-old girl crying about something that they tried to blame somebody else for something. Oh, my God. I mean, it's hysterical. If the Republican had acted that way, my God, you know what happened? What they did to Bush, when he did everything he could to try to get people to get out of New Orleans for the hurricane and stuff, and they still blasted him as being responsible for it. And now Obama's, playing this little sissy little girl crybaby game like a little freaking wimp pansy. Jesus, he's a commander-in-chief, man. This is
well, that's what he is, Kimmer. He is a narcissist, and I absolutely I just love how he gets on there and talks about, I was down there a month ago, and I was talking to the fishermen well before the talking heads were. Well, A, he wasn't, and B, if he was, well, congratulations. Do you want an award? That's your job. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right. It's pathetic. Honestly, it's pathetic. And once again, he's reacting to polls. He's reacting to media pressure as opposed to being a leader. It's like I forgot who said the famous line when we saw the famous general or something saw a crowd of people rushing somewhere, and he said, "Gee, I must find out where they're going so I can lead them." I mean, he doesn't know where he's going, but he wants to be the leader, so he has to find out where people are going, and then he's going to try to get up ahead there so he can be their leader again. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It is.
It's a psychological problem. I think he has some real character flaws. I think there's a real serious psychological problem for this guy.
Oh, I agree. I think we can definitely conclusively state he has got some issues, and they revolve around narcissism. He is spoiled. He's not used to adversity. He's not used to people telling him no or getting up in his face, and we see it because when that happens, look at how he reacts.
Yeah.
So.
It's scary, man. It's freaking scary because this is life and death we're talking about here.